All right, welcome back, guys. Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Yeah, it took me a second to figure out who the heck I was. We have a pocket change market report. Did you guys forget it's Wednesday, February 21? Man, this month is just melting away. And, we have talked about some pretty nice stuff that people have found out there in the wild. So today we're going to talk about some of the most recent eBay sales to come from folks just finding some of these really special coins. Now, the list includes, but it's not limited to, errors and die varieties, okay? Which is something that I've been pitching and promoting, for the past 5 years, if not longer. But doing the PCMR, that's kind of like everyone's favorite, has been a long staple for a number of years now. I'm glad to still be, have the ability and the passion to do this because I firmly believe that there's a lot of opportunity here and people have taken the information and they've run with it. So roll hunters and cherry pickers rejoice. This is here to feed your need. What's the market doing these days? Is it as strong as it was last year? I'm happy to say yes, even with the floundering, precious metals market, the numismatics end of things is still quite robust and very strong. And, we got new 2024 coins that have officially hit the streets. And that is yet again, folks, another thing to look through. Who's going to be the first one to find that first double the die on that Lincoln cent, and who's going to be the first one to find that mint error on the first quarter? It's anybody's guess, but they are certainly out there, ripe for the picking, and that's kind of the beauty part of what we do. Being able to identify those, getting them attributed, named as such, and then possibly reselling them. First one out to market with some of these first discoveries can be a pretty big deal. But aside from that, this is something that I like to do every week to help showcase the possibilities, and they are certainly endless. House rules that we normally bring up: we don't talk about graded coins because that includes some sort of expense that can be pretty pricey. Keep the money in your pocket. Just sell it as is. If you find it and it doesn't fit the need of your collection, just go ahead, take good pictures, let them fly on eBay. And generally, you could do a 5 or 7 day list on a lot of these, and they should do pretty well. All right, given that you're using the right keywords, maybe you might pay for a little promoted listing. It's completely up to you. And another thing to point out, we use 100% the off of every listing. We didn't modify or juice any of the photos to make them look better. You are simply going to get the best and worst that is out there. Which is good because you're going to see where that low bar is set. So for some of you that are kind of squirming in the stomach about your photography skills, I wouldn't worry too much because that bar is set really low. All right, so we do have, like we normally do, a little bit of a pre-show whatnot calendar of events. This is the platform that I sell on. We have a show up here on Friday. It's the Sacramento Coin Show pre-show auction. So I'm going to be at the Sacramento Coin Show on Saturday. It's a 2-day event, I believe. But I will be there in attendance on Saturday. There's going to be plenty of U.S. type and silver that we are going to be selling on our Whatnot show on Friday. And that's February 23rd, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, if you want to come by and check it out. If you're not signed up onto the platform, and we've had a pretty good influx of new folks coming on board, then just go ahead and follow the link that I have below in the description box where you could sign up and earn yourself some usable store credit. I think it's still $15 today that you will earn when you sign up under me. All right, so I hope to see you guys there. It's going to be a great show. Rumor has it that we have some Dansko albums that we're going to give away. Probably a first here on Whatnot, and it's something that I've always wanted to do here in a while. We've given away Cherry Pickers guides. We've given away Striker Rich with Pocket Change books. We've given away graded coins. It's a lot of fun. And even if you showed up, and signed up just to take advantage of the giveaways, that's it. It'd be worth it all the way. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. We have about 27 listings. Now, this is a coin that was really small in the listing, and I had to crop it so that way I could blow it up. But this is a 1982 small date Lincoln Memorial set. It looks to be a bronze. Just from my eyes, the pictures don't really tell a whole lot here. As far as the composition is concerned, but go ahead and check out that large cut die break right above Lincoln's head. And that's what we're looking at here. So a cud is normally formed from the rim and goes into the design, okay? And this all comes from the dies. The dies, they get used and abused. The working dies have kind of a limited shelf life. So after a while, just like the wear and tear on an automobile, things begin to break down. There's little cracks, there's pieces that fall off the die, and where there is an empty cavity in the die from where a piece of the die had fallen out at some point, that's where all the metal flow goes into, thereby creating this raised, bubbly anomaly that you see here. So this particular coin, again, I've always stressed that cuds are kind of the kings of the error world right now. The prices are so unbelievably good and very consistent. This one, no exception, a $60.34 sale to kick things off here on this week's PCMR. The next one that we have here, ooh, look at the clarity, nice, really nice photos. But we couldn't get in close to see some of the dates, even if that applies. There's one coin that does have a readable date. That's the 95D Lincoln cent on the bottom right corner. So this is a lot of 6 coins. This group features a blank planchet. It looks like a Type 2 with the upset rims on there. And then a number of off-center struck Lincoln cents. Now, 4 out of the 5 Lincoln cents that are off-center have no really readable date, okay? And from what we can deduce, on the market, having a readable date is certainly important because people collect off-center coins by the date itself, all right? So people are looking to put together maybe a whole 1990 set, or maybe a complete set from 1909 all the way to the current date. You just never know. The reason why I'm talking about this a lot is it represents an area of opportunity for resellers to cash in on someone else's listing. So selling as a group indicates that you're willing to accept more, or less rather, per piece in the lot. So selling in bulk is always not the best way to go unless you just want to be done with it and you want to rid your collection of it. Irrespective of what the final sales price is going to be. So someone can swoop in, they can buy it, they can list each coin individually, so they'll turn one listing into 6, and then hopefully double your money. Now, I don't think there's quite that opportunity here, as this lot sold for $85, which puts it, $12, $13 a piece, maybe more than that. Probably, it'd be more than that. It'd be around probably closer to $16. Or maybe not so much. It's around $14.50, right around there. I had to do a little bit of quick math in my brain, and sometimes that just doesn't work out too well. But yeah, if it was $15 a piece with 6 coins, that would be $90, and we're at $85, so it's just under that. I don't think that opportunity is quite there. Even with the 95D with a full readable date, you might be able to get $15-20 just off that coin right there. I would say this is, either a break-even point or a little bit of an overpay. All right, you certainly don't want to be sitting on these coins if you know that you've broken even on it. All right, so just a little word of caution when you do come across a lot and you're thinking about putting a bid in, go ahead and do your research first. Find out how much some of these coins have been selling here recently, because there's plenty of market data on off-center struck coins. They're actually quite common. The next one that we have here, yet again, it's another coin that I have to talk about because they are selling. And they're selling for an unbelievably strong amount of money. And it's a coin that's been around since 1955, believe it or not, because these were in newspaper publications. Coin dealers were trying to buy these for $5-10 a piece when they do come across them. But you guys need to know about the poor man's doubled die 55s. These are, in 2024, still a thing, all right? It's like the craziest thing because die deterioration doubling, it is not the most sexiest thing to find. But, you know, there's kind of like this love affair for the coin that's been around for the better part of the last like 8 decades. It's kind of crazy. So this is actually a really nice example. It's a full mid state red, which I think matters most to collectors. I don't think a lot of people want like really worn down examples. They want really nice specimens like this. So when we look up close, and this is actually the close-up provided for this listing. I mean, they nailed the obverse and reverse image, but the close-ups are really dark. But you could see that shadowed 5 there, the last 5 of the date. And that's what the poor man's double to die is. It's that last 5 showing like an extra halo of a 5 there. And that's all due to die deterioration doubling. On any other coin, it would be a non-issue. It would just be a spender. But on 55s, because of the association with the big double die, the FS101, that exists for the date, kind of props these up. So this one sold for $21.97. Again, unreal money, but it is not the only one that's sold here within the last 24 hours. Stay tuned. The next one that we have here, this one is a no-doubter. This is the dream of dreams, the king of kings of double to dies for the Lincoln Memorial Series. If you can't find the 69S, you might as well join the crowd that finds the 1972 Philadelphia FS101. One look at the doubling on the date, on Liberty, and the motto, and you'll understand why this thing is such a hot piece. A smoke show of sorts. Now this coin here looks good. It does have some kind of like carbon spotting there on the obverse, which, you know, to some discerning collectors can be a visual distraction. So with that being said, it's not like that there was a huge discount on this coin. It sold for $455.55, and that is well within the market for these coins. So if you did find one and change, congratulations. This is like a car payment, and it'll take care of that in short order. The next one that we have here, this is a 72S. This is also a proof. So you could very well cherry pick proof sets to try and find this coin. It is actually a very attractive variety. This is the, I believe the FS102, I believe, double to die obverse. And when you look up close, and keep in mind there's kind of like some, either like a smeared fingerprint on the obverse. Again, that's kind of distracting, but overall not going to be a complete deal killer. When we look up close at the motto, "In God We Trust," you can see that strong hub doubling there. Also on Liberty, you can see the doubling on L, the I, the B, and even the E. And then even on the date, you also have a little bit of that doubling too. You can see the splitting and separation at the top of the 7, the bottom of the 2, the 9, things like that. So this one is actually quite strong. But I would warn everyone that in order to see this, you do need some sort of jeweler's loupe or magnifier, because this is not naked eye visible. It's a little bit tough. So this example sold for $63.49, and looking at my notes, this is the FS101. And this is supposed to be a 2005 Philadelphia, Kansas statehood quarter. This is the "In God We Rust" strike through that you know a lot of people do love for whatever reason. Again, this is kind of like a very niche collectible piece here that has been, you know, accepted and beloved since its release, which is crazy. So, you know, obviously there's a filled die issue, which is also a strike through. There was some grease and gunk in certain elements of the dies, and they won't strike up certain things on the coin completely. So you'll notice that the T is missing in trust, and that's how it got its namesake, the "In God We Rust." So this one, kind of a big deal because you don't see sales quite this strong. $69.95 is in my humble opinion, a glorious overpay for a coin that I've seen routinely sell in the $10 to $20 range. And that's even for mid-state pieces as well. All right, so the next one that we have here, one of my favorite varieties, this is the 1960D Lincoln Memorial Set. This is the D over D Repunch Midmark. It's the FS502. It's a Cherry Picker's Guide variety. And the coin is in really nice shape. When we look up close, pretty pixelated photos, but you could see that clear and present doubling on the mid-mark. Now keep in mind, during this time, mint employees were still hand punching the mid-marks into the working dies. So there's a lot of room for error here, and they really didn't care either. So there's a really strong separation of a secondary Denver mid-mark that is punched west of the primary. And this one sold for $34.95. Just a really nice example of an 1864 with L on ribbon Indian Ed set. This is a very strong like XF45 example, but the seller had promoted this one as to having some pretty nice die clashing, which can be seen in between each one of the feathers on the headdress, and then on the reverse as well next to that shield. This one in this condition, again, this is a premium coin for any Indian head set collection. Sold for $248.08, and that's with 21 bids. Very strong sale here. This one, however, that looks like the exact opposite. It looks like the whole coin was dipped in acid. It probably needed it as the date generally wears off quickly on here. So it's a 1919D. It is indeed a two-feather buffalo. It's the FS401 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. And this one, in spite of its condition, it looks nice, but it looks like also that it's been dipped. This one sold for $15.21, and that's with 6 bids. Here's our other poor man's double to die 55. Again, another really nice high-grade specimen. You'll note that on this one, Lincoln has a cracked skull, an interior die break going on right on his head. They don't all have that, but this one does, and that kind of plays into the die deterioration. So this one, when we look up close, you can see just a little bit of a shadow of a 5 on that last digit there. And this example did even better at $36, and that was with 20 total bids. Now, it's not every day that we see a cut die break on Buffalo Nickels, but this 1919, and I guess the date's readable, because the seller did put a date on there. It just doesn't show up very well on these photos, but you can see the cud on the reverse that's covering the word America. And this one right here in this low ball condition sold for $37. So quite a nice sale. And cuds can even be found on these interesting other obsolete type coins. And here's a piece of paper. We got a 1950D $10 bill. Nice old, well-preserved small head style note. Excuse me. So as you can see on this one, it looks miscut. It might be just a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but when we look at the reverse, there's a front to back wet ink transfer. So there was a triangle there on the top right corner where it had picked up some print impression from the impression cylinder onto the reverse of the note. Quite amazing. This one is very vivid and strong, even though it doesn't quite cover the whole back of the note. And this one right here is sold for $120. All right, coming up next here, we have a 1935E silver certificate. It looks worn, nothing too crazy as far as condition. This looks like every other silver certificate that you find in the bargain bins at, your local coin shop. They can be had for a couple, $2 or $3. They're very inexpensive and very plentiful. But there are a lot of paper money errors that show up on these that people don't know about. Mismatched serial numbers, misaligned prints, things like that. So we're going to stay with the misaligned conversation. The front of the note looks good, all right? It looks perfect. Everything's centered. But when we look at the reverse, check that out. Yeah, definitely looks miscut. but it isn't. It's just the sheet was misaligned when the back print was applied. You can even see the top part of the next corresponding note on that subject sheet at the bottom. So this is quite interesting and very nice. So this one right here sold for $59.99, and that's with 17 bids. Always good to see non-traditional dates off-centered. Here's a 1966. This one is off-center by about 10%. Nothing too crazy, but it's a date that we don't see that often, maybe once a month or so. This one here looks to be about an XF45. It's actually quite nice. And this one sold for $48.57. And Indian Head Scents, making their presence known. We have this off-center struck 1902. It does have a few condition issues, but overall the coin looks to be in really nice shape. You can see plenty of mid-state red in there as well. If it wasn't for all the staining and carbon spots, this could be a real big one. So with that being said, it did sell for $250. Any sort of off-center or broad strike in Indian Head Scents, again, they're very collectible and highly prized. All right, so as a result, the prices are quite strong. And here's one that I talked about last night in my top 1990s Lincoln scents that you need to be on the lookout for, and this is a good one. 1997 Philadelphia Minted Lincoln Memorial scent, so it doesn't have the mint mark. This is the FS101 Doubled Ear Variety. All right, check that out. It's got the extra earlobe sitting at the bottom there, on the bottom part of the earlobe. Yeah, this is one that we should all just keep an eye on. They're still being found out there. This particular one ended up selling for $73, and it looks to be a solid AU condition coin. And another one that I love talking about, these things are amazing, especially when they're still in pretty nice shape. It's the 2021 Lincoln Shield scent. This is the infamous pre-cut die crack that goes from K3 to K7. So when you look at the front of the coin, kind of look at it as like a clock with the little lines for the digits. So the 3 o'clock position to the 7 o'clock position, that's where the crack goes to, end to end. The more advanced stage of this is absolutely phenomenal as well. This particular example sold for $91.24, and that's with 4 bids. There is some circulation wear on this coin. Just thought I would point that out as kind of a primer as to why this one sold for under $100. And nothing that you normally see on larger denomination coins. Kennedy half dollars, like dollars that are off center, they are incredibly pricey. Here's a 1983 Philadelphia. This one's off center. I would say by about 10-ish%, maybe a little bit more than that. And how about this sale? Ungraded, $143.50 was the final sale on this one. And I challenge anyone to find another one. These things come up, very rarely on the open market. Usually they are sent to a grading company, whether that's Annex or NGC. People are under the impression that you do have to grade them, and it's simply not the case. Here's a double struck 1974 Lincoln Memorial scent. Now, some of these off-center strikes, people do say, well, the likelihood you'll find one in change is quite impossible. And I would agree with that, okay? That's not a lie, not at all. So where you're going to find these, and your biggest opportunity is going to be at coin shops. Because believe it or not, they do come across these, and they do buy them. It's not their favorite thing to keep around as far as like mid-errors. Mid-errors is not for everyone. And coin shop owners, they prefer to have things that they know they could flip easily. So, they'll, in the course of, trying to make money, they're going to try and fire sale some of these coins. And I have bought my fair share of mid-errors from coin shops for dirt cheap. We're talking like $5, $10, $15, $20, depending on what it is. So this one right here ended up selling for $28.65, and that's with 7 bids. It does have a few issues. I don't know what that stain is there on the reverse, but there is that. The off-center secondary strike doesn't have a whole lot going on with it other than just another impression of Lincoln's bust. And that's really all here. Here's another Buffalo nickel. Not a great looking one, but it is a 2-feather, and it's one of the tougher dates, 1929S. It's probably like a VG8, maybe a fine 12 coin. It does have a partial horn. And this one sold for $31.14. So the higher the grade on any 2-feather Buffalo, the more that they're going to be worth. And another nice one here too, like the 66. This is a 1970D Lincoln Memorial Cent. Not a rare date, but this one, struck off center by about 50%. It's a nice mid-state red. It's very minty. This one here sold for $49, and that's with 10 bids collected. They're very attractive because they have a full date, and it's got plenty of design, on there. All right, and that's what collectors love. Here's a 1956. This is another well-known repunch mint mark. I believe this is the FS 501. And it shows and features a very strong secondary Denver mint mark that's punched west of the primary here. This one sold for $13.95, and this is a very common variety. We also have this 1977 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This one is another cud die break. This is probably the bargain of the week, all right? Because normally, a cut of this size would be about 50 or 60 bucks, pretty easily. This particular one right here is sold for $36.64. It was bid up 7 times, and, again, someone got a steal of a deal. And the coin looks to be problem-free. That's kind of the boon here on this one. So congrats on the buyer. I hope it's in your hot hands here pretty soon. And, oh boy, a coin that we forgot even existed makes another appearance. I believe this is the second one in as many weeks, in the last 2 weeks. And these things got down to around 10-15 bucks, shortly after they were found. And then now they've been pumped back up to well over 50 bucks. I believe the last one sold for $58, and this one sold for $64 with 3 bids. This has the large strike through on the reverse shield right there. So that was like just a massive grease and debris that was sitting on the die, and it had struck these coins, thereby leaving that anomaly there. So $64. Again, these are heating up. If you have these, you got multiples and you want to sell a few. I might be a buyer on one. I'll just be honest. I've never owned one of these. I think they're cool as hell, and I want one for my collection. So I'd be willing to pay the market here if anyone's selling. We also have this one here. Let's not forget, because we don't talk about the accented hair 1964 proof Kennedys, that this is one that's incredibly still very cherry pickable. So this one, right above Kennedy's ear, has extra engraved lines for the hair. And it also has the sing serif at the bottom of the eye in Liberty. So they kind of go hand in hand. This is actually a decent looking coin with a little bit of cameo contrast, and they all don't look like that. This one right here is sold for $52.99. Another great one to cherry pick at your local coin shop, as proof sets are running right around 30 bucks. We also have a neat one, although still quite inexpensive. Sheet clips are not the most extravagant, nor are they the sexiest errors out there. But this one has 3 of them on there. 3 shallow curved sheet clips on the coin. It's always good to see more than 1. It's even better to see more than 2, but 3 is the delight. This one right here is sold for $15.51. And that's with 11 bids. And then finally, the last piece for this week's PCMR, we got to talk about this beautiful 1981 $20 bill. My goodness, this thing is hot. Check out the overprint. It is grossly misaligned on this one. Probably that sheet was, whacked out, a little bit out of place before the overprint was applied. Because when you look at the back, it's perfectly centered. You got great margins here on this one. So incredibly wild misalignment like this, very desirable. This one ended up selling selling for $399.99. One of the biggest top performing misaligned overprints I have seen in quite a while. All right, that was wild. Great week, and hopefully it gave you a little bit of inspiration to do some hunting for yourself. Videos for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Please do collect and grade responsibly, you know, the good old stuff. And I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys again for popping on in for the PCMR. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video and the channel if you haven't done so already. But my friends, I am out of here. I have to do some cherry picking. It's time. So I wish you guys the best of luck. Would love to hear about your wins, and I will see you guys real soon. Take care.